Happened to be available. Two-story brick building in 1857 was kind of a rarity.
This building, originally designed as a bank, was the first Sarpy County Courthouse. It was in Bellevue, but when they lost the county seat, the city of Papillion scrambled to get this second courthouse built.
But it was built at such a rapid pace that 40, 50 years later, it was falling apart, literally.
Sarpy County Museum Director Ben Justman says that's when the county went looking for land, and G.P. Miller was there with his 3 plots on Block 8 in Papillion Village. After fighting off bids from a couple of other towns, and $7,000 later, the site for the third Sarpy County Courthouse was secured.
Small town of Richfield and Sarpy Center, another town, both pretty well gone now. They bid for it too.
Longtime newspaperman and Sarpy County historian Jim Miller remembers being a little kid running around the courthouse on the weekends.
You know, the restroom, the doors always had that gap between the floor and the door. We'd sneak under. In those days, they had paid toilets.
The building was constructed between 1923 and 24, but the sometimes controversial cornerstone was laid on the 4th of July in 1922. Maybe the most famous or infamous part of the building is up these stairs, the old Sarpy County Jail.
So there's some great jail stories.
Jail on top is quite a story.
There were a few historical escape attempts. One guy was able to tie bed sheets to about the second floor window, not quite down to the bottom of the ground, and then jumped the rest of it. And broke his ankle, twisted his ankle in the process, and just tried to hobble out of Papillion.
He'd have an exercise room on the roof. You know. A couple guys would try to escape and met with a little broken arms.
A few of the prisoners that ended up here committed a popular crime for the 20s and 30s, chicken stealing.
You know, chicken thieves, that was quite a crime. And the farmers, of course, that was their avenue of income. And boy, you steal chickens, and next to horses, I guess that was...
Another big event happened at the beginning of every year. It was getting your new license plate, which led to long lines and some tense moments.
Driver's licenses was always the first day, January 1st, which was a holiday, or January 2nd, and there'd be lines out the courthouse to get their licenses. And boy, there's some fights would break out.
The clerk's office was also the spot where some brought their bounties.
Coyotes and all, and you bring them into there. The clerks didn't really enjoy it. It's kind of messy, but...
Seeing a judge, marriage, divorce, getting various licenses. The Sarpy County Sheriff was there too, so of course during Prohibition, I've heard stories about the hallways being just lined with confiscated stills and illegal booze.
Speaking of marriages, the Sarpy County Courthouse was known as a popular spot for quickie unions. With no waiting period or a need for a blood test, a lot of people made the trip south from Omaha.
This was a way to kind of sneak under the wire, run away with your bride. Other times, marriages would be frowned upon for families, so they would come down here.
In fact, Jim says Major League Baseball player Monty Stratton was actually one of the folks to get married in the courthouse. You may remember Stratton's life story was made into a movie starring Jimmy Stewart as a ball player whose career was cut short by a hunting accident. In 1973, Sarpy County needed some more space, so they looked to 84th Street and Highway 370. The city of Papillion looked to buy the old building for its city hall. There was actually a vote in the county on whether or not to sell it all. In fact, the Library Commission made a bid for the building.
The Library Commission wanted it. That would be one heck of a library.
But in the end, for the cost of $95,000 paid over the course of 10 years, a new Papillion City Hall was born. After more than $133,000 in renovation cost, the biggest being $35,000 for central air conditioning, an open house was held April of 1976. That was just about 54 years after the original cornerstone was laid. Oh yeah, that controversial cornerstone.
The county wanted to move the whole cornerstone, on the corner there, to the new building out on 84th. But the city said no at that time. They had bought it. And there was a fight. In fact, the county had already started removing it And then a judge stepped in.
What the county did get was this small metal keepsake box buried in the brick below the stone, and City Hall stayed in one piece. Since then, the building has welcomed Apollo 15 astronaut James Irwin, who left behind this autographed photo of the Apollo 11 crew. This longtime mural was removed to reveal some really awesome windows in the middle of the staircase. And this historical marker was added to the south side of the building. So many changes over the 100 years since these few men broke ground on this spot. But a few things have not changed.
Oh, up there on the heights, it's an imposing looking building.
Very stately, very dignified, and kind of a shining icon on a hill there.
For Papillion Now, I'm Michael Severe.